If, like me, you believe in a multi-chain future, you've got your Avalanches, you've got your Solanas, you've got your Polkadots, but the cost and the burden of moving funds from one chain to another, particularly if you just basically send it on Ethereum, just make it like, well, fear not. We've got you covered. Today we're covering Hashflow, an ability to use Bridgeless Cross-Chain Swaps. It's built on Layer 0. If you heard of Stargate, well, this is another version of that. It's called Hashflow. We'll be digging in straight after this.
Is your crypto sitting idle without earning you any passive income? On Nexo, you can maximize the value of your crypto in no time and earn rates of up to 17%. Their web platform and mobile app are super easy to use. You can buy crypto with cards instantly and start earning interest paid out daily. The Nexo exchange has over 300 market pairs. Every time you swap or buy crypto, you get up to 0.5% cash back that's automatically added to your wallet. If you want to finance buying a car or a trip to a faraway place, you can borrow cash by using your crypto or NFT as collateral. You don't lose your crypto, and you can get borrowing rates as low as 0% APR. Nexo has over 4 million users worldwide, and their platform is equipped with a top-quality security infrastructure designed to ensure maximum protection of assets at all times. Go to nexo.io and get started today. When you shop for plane tickets, you probably use Kayak, Expedia, or Google Flights. So why would you limit yourself to just one exchange when you trade crypto? To make sure you're getting the best possible price, you should use a DEX aggregator like Matcha. Matcha routes your orders across all the various DeFi exchanges on Ethereum, Polygon, Avalanche, BSC, Phantom, CeLo, and Optimism to provide the best possible prices without taking any commissions. Matcha has integrated fiat on-ramps so you can buy directly with your credit or debit card, and uses smart order routing that splits your order across multiple liquidity sources. With Matcha, you can make limit orders on chain so you can set and forget your DeFi trades, and now Matcha even offers gasless trading. Head over to matcha.xyz/Defiant and connect your wallet to start smarter with Matcha.
Alrighty, DeFi citizen, you know that there are opportunities on Avalanche, you know that there are opportunities on Solana, but you're scared. I mean, I don't blame you. Bridges, they kind of suck. This is a way of doing a move of some funds, which is a very awkward way of saying, I want to move my funds from Ethereum to Avalanche, but I don't want to have to go via a centralized exchange like Binance. I just want to get there, fam. I just want to get there. Man's got work to do. You get me? Let's dig in. So the future is multi-chain. This we know. And it may not have been obvious like 2-3 years ago, but now we are going to have to get very comfortable with using, NIV, Solana, Phantom, Polygon, Avalanche, Optimism, you name it. Wherever the value is, that's where you want to be, but you don't want to have to be mucking around. Now, I think in the future, somebody will create a wallet that will allow us to do all of this without even knowing what chain we're on. But at the moment, here's where we are. Vitalik, my argument for why the future will be multi-chain. Yes, this is Vitalik, ETH. ETH has by far most of the value that's locked up in DeFi and in crypto, really. But he believes in multi-chain. So should you. So here's the Hashflow concept. Instead of just bridging assets and using them in the same dApp on a different chain, what if we could create apps from the ground up that spanned multiple chains? So you have Ava and Sushi, and they are present on other chains, versions of them, but it's a little bit mucky. What if Ava just was multi-chain? What if Sushi was just multi-chain? So what if we could do native cross-chain swaps? I imagine selling ETH on Ethereum and receiving AvaX on Avalanche in one single transaction. We're going to do that later on. So what is Hashflow? Well, it's a decentralized exchange, basically. It's an AMM, like Uniswap, pretty familiar, really. And if you look at the UX here, or the UI rather, it feels very familiar. But there's some secret sauce going on here. They will offer you better prices. They use off-chain pricing, which should lead to tighter quotes and giving you more bang for your buck. The way AMMs work with oracles, it's pretty smart, but it's also prone to attacks, and it also can be a little bit laggy in terms of tracking the overall market. You have guaranteed executions. So when you look for a trade, you're given a quote, and that quote will be executed at the display price. Have you ever had that moment in MetaMask when you want to press confirm, but suddenly it will flash white and the confirm button goes away and then it comes back? That's just the market repricing on you. So in times of uncertainty like we had at the weekend, it can be like very difficult to know what it is you're actually spending. So you get a guaranteed execution at the displayed price. It's MEV resistant. Now, I think it's probably time we did another video on MEV, because you may not be aware of how much of it is actually going on, but it's significant. And there's a website you can go to called sandwich.wtf, I believe, where you can see how many times you were sandwiched, which is just basically malicious bots spotting your trade and going, and just squeezing you out of, like, it's not a huge amount of money, but over the course of a day, those bots can make a ton of money. Zero commission, trade with no additional fees, and gas fees up to 50% lower than popular AMMs. We'll dig into why Hashflow in particular caught my eye later on. But there are some good headline features here. If you trade a lot over the course of a year, these fees, they really do add up, like really add up. And if you're a particularly active DeFi citizen like I am, then yeah, I'd like to know that I'm getting a good price. So when you submit an order, you're given a quote back. Those quotes are binding and they're supplied by market makers. What Hashflow is basically doing is saying, instead of opening up market making to absolutely everyone, we have a limited number of very high quality market makers who are able to do the market making work really, really well. And you, as a kind of more passive user, can supply liquidity to those market makers, take advantage of their strategies, but be kind of what they call lazy money. The quotes that these market makers submit are binding. So once a market maker submits a quote for a trade, then they're committed to it and it's binding. So this protects you from both slippage, because the price will not slip, and MEV, because this is a signed transaction that sits away from the mempool where MEV bots can snipe it. So they can't tamper with a signed quote, and you get the price, and that's it. So once you've hit confirm, that's it. You're good to go. It's built on layer 0. So we covered Stargate, which was like a huge kind of deal a few weeks back. Stargate's also built on layer 0. Layer 0 is just this low-level communication protocol that allows one protocol to talk to another protocol without having to do the heavy work of carrying funds across chain. I always say it's like having, a hotline to the world leader on the other side, or a hotline to the bank. You can just call up and say, yes, I can see the money here. You're good to go on the other side. So rather than having to take all your money and travel across a bridge to another chain, you can just call up and say, yes, I can verify and testify that this set of funds exists. There's the possibility of an airdrop. And if you are watching this video because of the thumbnail, well, it is actually there. They have their own token, HTF, the governance token. Like all governance tokens, who knows what it'll end up being worth, but there's 1 billion of them, and 6.75% of that supply will be allocated as retroactive rewards for early users and participants in Hashflow. And I can't tell you how many times I've done a tutorial on a protocol and then kind of forgotten about it, and then discovered I was eligible for an airdrop simply because I used it once and I was therefore on a database that said I had used it. And those airdrops, they do add up. What are the risks? Well, the risks of bridges are, well, we know about the risk of bridges, hopefully by now. The Ronin bridge was the worst of these, but bridges suck. Really, honestly, they really do suck. It is, I use this analogy of taking all of your gold, putting it in the back of a truck, and then transporting it physically across a border. You're so vulnerable everywhere. Layer 0 is designed to help avoid that problem simply by solving a communication problem. And that is why we're so excited about Layer 0. So let's dig in. Let's do a trade. Let's see what is there on Hashflow. So welcome to the Hashflow website, nice and clean. You can see the message here, cross-chain swaps. Lots of blurb here. It's powered by the world's best market makers. I couldn't actually find out who these market makers actually were, but there is one in particular, which is Time Street Capital, that is operating the pools that you can add your capital to. This is pretty much all I know about them. They're a Wyoming domestic limited liability company, whatever that means, but those are the market makers. We'll look at that in a second. And here's who it's backed by: Dragonfly, Galaxy Digital, GSR, Wintermute, it's another big market maker. Alameda, Ledger Prime, Coinbase Ventures, Balaji. This is serious. These are some serious names, some serious backers, and that gives you a little bit of confidence. So let's dig in. Let's launch the app, see what we can do here. First thing I want to look at is these pools. So they launched the pools kind of at the end of last year, in fact, and they were permissioned at that point. These are the permissionless pools. So this will allow you to add your own capital to these stablecoin pools. So you've got DAI, OUSD, USDC, USDT. You can supply your own capital to these, and that will give you basically access to Timesheet Capital's market-making strategies. Now, if you know a little bit about the way Uniswap v2 transitioned to Uniswap v3, it was all about concentrated liquidity. It was putting the liquidity where it was required. So you set these brackets of where you want to supply the liquidity, and then hopefully the trades are happening within that, which means your liquidity is being used. But that's very much an active strategy, which means you have to move the brackets around and you have to constantly rebalance, in response to the market. By having access to these very sophisticated market makers who do that work, all you have to do is supply your own capital, and then that becomes the pool with which they work for you. Or they're not really working for you, they're just exploiting the capital you give them. Hashflow themselves compare this to, like a hedge fund, where you will just supply assets and then they will go and do the best they can with that, and you trust them based on their track record, et cetera, et cetera. Hashflow's only allowing the very most kind of trusted and sophisticated market makers to work on the platform. So now let's have a look at the exchange. So in that blurb, we were talking about trading from ETH to AvaX. Let's have a look at this UX here. I keep saying UX, I mean UI. Let's have a look at this UI here. So what we have here, we can trade from ETH into USDC. What else can we trade into? Well, only stable coins and wrapped ETH. Similarly, on this side, if we want to trade out, we don't have a huge number of options here. I'm sure that will expand in the future. What we're really interested in here is the drop-down list of chains. So I can trade from ETH to Avalanche to Arbitrum to Polygon to BNB. So what makes this interesting is that in MetaMask, for instance, if I select the Avalanche network, which is here, you'll notice that my address is still the same. So on ETH and Avalanche, I have the same address, which means that if I want to send ETH from ETH network to Avalanche, this is all I have to do. So if I said 0.1, and then I wanted to send it to Avalanche, you'd see it requested a quote, and this is the quote that I've got. The slippage is 0%, the gas estimate is 31.1, and the rate is going to be 1 ETH equals 46 AvaX. So if I were to submit this order now, which I'm not going to do because I did one earlier as a test, it would then, it would route the order, it would then send it to Avalanche, and the whole process takes about 6 minutes. So here is the transaction that I sent. We can see here, there's a few different things going on. It hits the contract, and then there's a bunch of transfers. And then on the other side, on AvaX, it arrived from that contract to AvaX. And so I ended up with 4.6 AvaX in my wallet, and I can check that here now on the AvaX network. And there you go, 4.6 AvaX arrived in my wallet. And like I said, that took around 6 minutes. Now, I don't know how long it would take for a Polygon or anything else, but 6 minutes, I can kind of live with that. It's still not fast, but it does mean that I can now jump on, whatever opportunities there might be on Avalanche and do it very, very quickly. But the most important thing here is we didn't touch a bridge. We didn't go anywhere near a bridge. There weren't funds locked up in there. We were not at risk from a bridge. It just went there. And at the moment, we have Avalanche, we have Arbitrum, Polygon, BNB. They're talking about Cosmos and Solana and other chains as well. And if you're adding Cosmos, then anything that's built on Tendermint should be possible to plug in as well. In the future, I could see Harmony being plugged in here. Polkadot, I think they were talking about. So really, this is the start of what should be a rapidly scaled up multi-chain experience. But, remember, we shouldn't even be touching market makers. There should be just some kind of seamless wallet experience. There's a protocol. I want to just get there. And then hopefully these trading mechanisms will be built into the protocols themselves so that they can simply say, would you like to trade or would you like to take advantage? Yes. And they can route your funds through this AMM and then just spit out the result that you want. We're not there yet, but you can see that's where we're going. So that's it for today. That was Hashflow. Now, I do have to disclose Hashflow are a sponsor of the newsletter. And if you don't read the newsletter, well, you should. But that was the reason I decided to take a look at this. They are a sponsor of the newsletter. Now you know, but it is a really impressive piece of technology. And let's see more of these. Layer Zero. Yeah, it's good. So if you have any suggestions for us to cover in tutorials, please drop them in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like, get subscribed if you are not. If you are not, why not? I'll see you on the next one. Peace.